from it.
Hey, everybody, this is Mark Lane, and I'd like to welcome a good friend of all of us here at KVPI and in the French music business, and I'm talking about Zack Fuselier. Zack, thank you, and welcome back to KVPI.
Merci d'être là.
Yes, sir. So, Zack, you tell us what's going on in your world and in your life right now.
So right now, I'm a seminarian for the Diocese of Lafayette, and I'm on summer assignment. So in between the semesters, during the summer, the seminarians get a parish assignment to keep some of us out of trouble. No, that's just a joke. But I'm lucky enough to be here at Sacred Heart in Ville Platte, which is amazing to be, come reconnect with the other side of my family. I grew up in Scott, and everybody, I'm related to half the town out there. So it's interesting to come out to the other side and reconnect with that side.
Well, let's talk about that side. You do have a lot of roots here in Evangeline Parish, so share with our listeners your connections to this parish, Zack.
I do. So my grandfather was a Fuselier from the Durald area.
What was his name?
His name was Rufus Fuselier. And then my grandmother, Vinus Vidrine, was from Tipitate, from Basile. But as my understanding from Father Jason, all the Vidrines come up here. They connect in Ville Platte.
Oh, they all connect right here.
So, and I've met quite a few already. So I know we're all cousins. We're all kin. I just wish I knew how we were all related.
And how far are you as far as a seminarian? How far have you gotten? Are you just started?
So I just finished my first year of 6. So I'd have 5 more in New Orleans at Notre Dame Seminary. There's a 2-year philosophy program. I just did 1 year of that 2-year program, and then 4 years of theology. So right at the beginning.
All right. Well, good. So let's talk a little bit about your music background. You were telling me before we went on the air, Zack, that you got into you started playing French music at a very young age.
Yes, sir. 12, 13 years old, I started taking lessons.
And there was no musicians in your family, huh?
No direct musicians. Like on my dad's side, they're all distant. So my J.B. Fuselier was a distant relative of mine, the fiddle player from Chaitanya.
Yes.
And then Lawrence Walker, Cleveland Meir on that other side, on my mom's side. There's a few, and I'm missing 1 or 2, but there's a few relatives distant, but nobody directly, not a grandfather, uncle, anything like that.
So when you were starting out in music, what did your friends at school say to you while they were listening to rock and rap or rock or whatever they were listening to? What did they say when you started picking up? Was it the fiddle that your choice of instrument?
Yeah. Well, so Daddy had started me on accordion, but I never took to that. I had always wanted a fiddle, so I finally got one. And
they tell me the fiddle is a lot tougher to learn.
That's what they say, but that's my first one, so I don't know how to compare it to something else,
Yeah.
But my friends, they just accepted it.
Great.
It wasn't anything.
They didn't pick at you.
No. And then especially like towards high school, college, a lot of them were interested and thought it was cool that I was doing something like that. But you see, in French immersion, I was in the French immersion program in Lafayette Parish, and so we were already outside of the norm. But we all just thought it was normal to grow up speaking French, learning French. So we were already an anomaly. But so on top of that, the music, I don't think they thought it was anything different. They just thought that's something Zack did,
Was French spoken in your home or in your grandparents' home?
Not really. A lot of it wasn't until when my great grandparents got old on my mom's side. They moved in with my grandmother, and my grandmother, they all live just the next road over from our house in Scott. So I would go spend the weekends with them and practice French, and that's where I learned a lot. But other than that, we didn't speak French at home. Even with my grandmother, it's one of those weird things where we both speak French, we both understand it, but we just never spoke to one another in French. We were just more comfortable speaking English to one another.
Did you learn the instrument yourself, or did you have some help? Did somebody teach you?
I had a lot of help. I needed a lot of help. Mitch Reed. I took lessons with Mitch Reed for about, like I said, 6-8 months, a year or so. and then just going to jam sessions, finding some good old musicians that were mentors, like Mr. Don Matusse, Mr. Diel Menard, Mr. Milton Benacor, who played with Ari Lejeune for years. And there was an old guy by the name of Mr. Freddie Hanks from L'Hotel area.
I heard of him.
So I just, getting those mentors and hanging out with them, learning the music, and even like practicing. Another way to practice my French was through that.
The first song that you learned to play was what?
First song that Mitch taught me was Mon Vieux Wagon, that
Vieux
old
Wagon.
Balfa tune.
Yes.
That was the very first one, and that was years ago.
And your very first gig that you were paid to do. Do you remember that job?
The very first one, I think.
And how much were you paid, and what band were you in? That very first professional gig.
It was in Abbeville. I was playing with the Babineau sisters, Gracie and Julie Babineau. And
do you remember about what they paid you?
It might have been $20-$40. I'm not sure. It was really just a thing to do, like one of our first gigs out there. And it was at the Kaplan Museum.
Wow.
So there was some kind of event going on, and we went and played music, and that was one of the very first ones that I remember.
Now, you have been associated with a number of local and area bands, weren't you, through the years?
Right, just helping out.
Okay, but are you connected with any particular bands that people would know?
So definitely with
sound?
With the Huval Fuselier Cajun Band, so that's where
and who are the other members of that group?
So it's Luke Huval and his brother Philip. But Philip has moved since he moved to Texas in 2017. It was Luke and I and whoever else we could get. But it's us, and then like I said, whoever else we get on drums and bass and guitar and stuff like that. Help out quite a bit. You remember when I played at Fred's with the Lafayette Rhythm Devils with Randy Vidrine and all them.
Yes.
Helped them out quite a bit. Forrest Huval, Cheryl Cormier, Ray Landry. I was helping out Joël Saunier for a little while. You name it, everybody helps out everybody.
If you would look back on your music career, what would be probably the highlight? If you'd be writing a life story about your music career, what would be one of the highlights right now? Is there a particular place that you played or a recording you were on that will always be at the top?
I think a lot. So Festivals Acadiens et Creole in Lafayette is always a highlight every year. It's one big family reunion. You get to visit and catch up with everybody. But one particular, and it kind of coincides with those mentors, those old guys, just memories of playing with them. There was one Mr. Milton Benacor had a spot on the little atelier stage. And I was not planned to play with him, but he had insisted that I join him. My parents were like, no, you got to let them do. But his daughter said, grandmother trumps parents. So his daughter got me to go play with him on stage. And that was probably one of the most, the memories that I hold dear to my heart. Just getting to play on stage with my mentor on his instruments, that some of which he recorded with Ari Lejeune years ago. There's so much history there. Are
you still using your original fiddle, or have you changed instruments through the years?
I have not. I still have. I've accumulated some more, but I still have the original one that started the whole thing. In fact, it broke a few years ago, and there was it was going to take a lot of money to fix it up. And there was some discerning, try to figure out if I wanted to do that or just retire it. But I went ahead, spent the money, and it sounded even better than it had before.
Wow!
So it was definitely well worth it, and I still have it. In fact, Luke loves it so much that he keeps picking at me, bugging me to buy it. He wants me to sell it, but I said nope. As long as I have it, I'll let you use it and play it, but you're not buying it.
So what are the plans for your group? Are you guys looking to go back into the recording studio or doing anything special?
Not anytime soon. I'm still working on a little project for myself. Luke is obviously he's incorporated a lot into it. But I had started a project back in 2018, playing with a bunch of the older guys that were still alive and playing, to kind of capture that and then do my own little thing. So that's in the works.
All right.
Hopefully soon it'll be done. But
Great. Well,
on n'est pas pressé.
T'es pas pressé.
No.
Down the road. Well, Zack Fuselier, it's always a pleasure, my friend, to have you at KVPI. And don't wait too long before you come back and visit with us again.
Yes, sir. It was a pleasure.